And it is 21 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock here in Trinidad and Tobago. And you're inside the Now Morning Show here on TTT. I am Natalie Legore. And we have with us this morning United National Congress Senator Jearlean John to talk about the amendment to the Constitution for the Tobago Autonomy and also the self-government bill for Tobago. Good morning to you, Ms. John.
Good morning, Ms. Legore.
And how are you doing?
Very, very good. And I must say congratulations to your team. You have a very good team. I mean, the way they follow up and so on. I like excellence. You all remind me of the St. James licensing office.
Well, we appreciate that really and truly because, you know, we do come out on the mornings and we do try to be cohesive and try to, you know, get all the current issues out there and deal with all the things, you know, and we do it in a nice manner so that it's not offensive. We don't want to do that. We just want to get the information out to the public because we owe them that.
Yeah, so it's just now the preparatory work because you know garbage in, garbage out, but you all put in a lot of work behind the scenes. I can attest to that.
Can I tell you, I sat down and watched a Joint Select Committee yesterday. I watched one the 30th of April. I watched one this date and I was like, oh God, I've fallen asleep. So but the thing is, you can't come to an interview and not be prepared. You know what I mean? It shows. So let us get into it because I think for people who are aware, there is a sticking issue, not with the amendment to the Constitution, because the preamble speaks about, you know, that equality with Trinidad and Tobago, but the Tobago Autonomy Bill, self-government for Tobago, I think that's where the sticking point is. And according to Ho Choi Charles, is that you're saying equality in the preamble in the Constitution, but when it comes on to the autonomy for Tobago, there's not really autonomy because one, when it comes on to legislation, we still have to go through you. We still have to go to the Minister of Finances. So, you know, should we not consider these? Because even in the autonomy bill, it speaks about, you know, the equality. But should we not continue with the bill as it is? Because if you go beyond that, is that there has to be some separation.
Okay. Well, Ms. Ligo, I think you have hit the nail on the head. You should have been in the Parliament yesterday, quite frankly. Because in the committee's report, which was being debated over the 2 days, I just want to read briefly from the chapter 20 or clause 20. Many in Tobago felt that their views and needs were largely overlooked by the government in Trinidad. Actually, the average Tobagonian felt that there was little opportunity for Tobago to influence national decision making. And I just want to jump quickly then to 22. This feeling of marginalization by Tobagonians has lingered throughout the 20th century and continues into the 21st. So it's just what you're saying. It's captured.
But you know what? And that's it. It's in the report, but I don't agree with that because I have seen the consultations. The thing is, I think what happens is that a lot of people don't get into the consultations. You could have sent text messages with your suggestions. You could have gone virtually. You could have gone to your MP's office and pick up the bill itself. There were so many avenues for you to get informed by the bill. So I think it's a matter of, you know, ignorance of what's really going on and then having an opinion.
Well, to Tobago's credit, I must say that Tobago has been engaged since 1977. And it's a long time to be toiling in the vineyard. And really where we at, because if you see the level of debate that is still ongoing, it says that they are still not where. But what I felt, I want to disagree a little bit that they lack the interest or the motivation to do anything. Because you see, when you know, there was a People's Partnership Bill in 2013, and that did not make it. Then between 2014 to 2016, 2017, the then Chief Justice Orville London, with a spirit of unity, you know, he engaged every one of what were protagonists, political opponents, and everybody. They came together, and with over, some people are saying 27 meetings, some are saying 40. I'm looking at a communique that he had done here in October of 2016. And, you know, they had so multiple meetings and consultations all over Trinidad. All over Tobago. And in 2016, the Chief Secretary then said, I think that we're at a point where we can say the destination is close. But that was because he said 40 meetings, a forum of political parties. Now, to me, that was the approach that we in this spirit, as we say in management, of esprit de corps, you know, where everybody moving to one destination, the one voice of Tobago. And I was a little disappointed that that was lost.
But you know what? Then becomes what's so different, and I think even at the Joint Select Committee, Camille Robbins Regis, the Attorney General, some people, and even you made the point, what is so different between the 2016 consultation, which Hosho thought was that it covered all the bases? What's so different between that and the autonomy bill right now?
Because
those are the level sticking points. What are they?
Well, by and large, the bills would have changed fundamentally. From when the 2016 bill that was sent down to Trinidad to what eventually landed up in the Parliament yesterday. And some of it has to do with, again, you started very well with two things that really affects, and I want to even say offends, Tobagonians. The two issues. One is the self-determination issue, which is captured in clause, I think clause 2 of the bill of the sorry, it's clause in the one that came down to Trinidad in 2016. It is clause 6 of the bill, and then you look at the equality issue, which is clause 5, I think. Equality of status is clause 5 of that 2016 bill. All right, and in the constitutional amendment bill, it is here in clause 4. Now, this right of self-determination, we're going to take them kind of back to front. The equality of status, self-determination. Equality of status for the people of Tobago. I mean, I grew up in Tobago. I am from Tobago. I was born in Tobago. And really and truly, you being on this ward of Trinidad is something I just recited in school. And basically, you always felt that you were subservient to Trinidad. But it's not a matter of ego. It is that Tobagonians, by their very nature, are very independent people. I mean, my grandfather used to come in from the sea, fishing, and 5 o'clock, goes to his garden, and he does his thing in the agriculture sector to feed his family. We were very strong-willed and very independent. So,
and you know what, Miss John, I appreciate that. And I appreciate that about the Tobago people, but I think there's a fine line between wanting that independence and secession or federation. Because one of the points that was raised in the Joint Select Committee is its ability, to make laws. And the government was saying, well, yes, you can, but it still has to be within the unitary state of Trinidad and Tobago. Otherwise, if you have that independence to do what you do, it's like you're going to be having 2 laws. And that means that you're 2 countries. So how do we get past that point?
Well, it's cohesion. Well, basically, what is being proposed is that the Tobago Island government will be able to make laws, but the law of Trinidad and Tobago remains the supreme law. If there's a law that is being fashioned on the Tobago Island government, they have to ensure that it does not in any way conflict with the laws of Trinidad and Tobago.
So what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
So it makes it very clumsy. Tobagonians are not asking for secession or federalism. They are saying we want self-determination within the borders of this island called Tobago. And there's where they were asking for clear demarcation of the lines, not to run away with it, but to know what was on top of the sea, what is below the sea, as far as they're concerned. So they could, Tobagonians could know what they are contributing to the national budget. Because if you would have heard the debate coming out, they say, we feel as if we are leeches of Trinidad.
Right,
we feel bad about it. So we just want to know. So we know what we
the thing is, if we're honest, this is a question I have posed to Joel Jack before about the monies coming out of Tobago. It would have been some time ago, how much Tobago contributes to the national budget. And I think at the time he had told me, I'm subject to correction, about 4%.
Well, that probably is from the businesses that who operate in Tobago. But in terms of the resources, meaning the resources that lie under the sea, on top of the sea, in between the sea, those are the resources they are talking about. The marine resources. Do we have any oil and gas there? Tobago wants to be clear, and that is what Tobago are talking about.
But it stated, though, that it had 6 nautical miles before, and now it's 11. So what is it about that is unclear? Because I, too, want to know.
No, it's not unclear. It is that the government has said, or is proposing, that these are administrative miles. So you could see it, you could watch it, but you can't touch it in a way, because you have no legislative control over it. You can't make your own laws to maximize your resources. So it means if you want to do a marine park, I mean, look at Tobago. Tobago is beyond beautiful. And the beaches, and I'm particularly inclined to say the best in the world is Man of War Bay in Charlottesville. And if you cannot maximize that and leverage your blue economy. Should you want to do that, you have to come back to the government in Trinidad. I don't think Tobagonians are unreasonable. They've been waiting for 44 years when this thing really started to move. 44
But
years.
why do you think the government made those nautical miles administrative? Because realistically, if I was a Tobagonian as well, I would want nautical miles where I could explore below the sea.
Right. But you can't. What do you mean? You really can't. You still have to come back to Trinidad. That's the point. And really, these are issues, Mr. Go, that I think we could have ironed out. Because when Ochoy Charles, for instance, who has it to me, it's his life work, said, look, just give me 2 more weeks to go back to the people. What's his name? Mr. Farley Augustine said the same thing. 2 more weeks to just go back, because we got the last draft in this about a few hours prior to coming to the committee.
Right.
And I don't want to make heavy weather of it, quite frankly. But if we have that, can we just get 2 more weeks to go back to the Tobago people and tell them this is what is contained in the bill? Now, I want to jump back.
Shamfa made the point that even if something is not discussed at the Joint Select Committee, that in the debate we could always iron it out, and we've seen that all the time as well.
Yeah, but they were not ironing it out. Yesterday and the day before was why UNC ought not to be a part of Tobago. They don't love Tobago. They should not have a voice in Tobago. And I felt that was unfortunate. It was really an opportunity missed. And when the Prime Minister got up to speak, I spent that time looking at the debate, right? I dropped everything. I said, let me look at this. Because I'm saying, this is a Prime Minister who is from Tobago. He says he's a proud Tobagonian, and I believe it, because all Tobagonians are proud. We have this way about us. We little, but we talawa. And so I said, I am going to listen to the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister, to me, for the first 5 minutes, sounded like a statesman in terms of he commended Robinson and all who went before. Yeah. And to me, this was his moment, you understand, to build bridges, not to burn them. And I think it did not go so well after, because it was those who were commenting, the ones who were most vociferous, like Dr. Winford James. He said Winford James had lost an election. Vanessa James was on PDP platform. When in Farley rude, young and rude, and no churches like he too old and tired. I mean, come the man. And that is in I'm just
listen, when it comes down to the parliament, we here talk about it on the morning show, but quite frankly, we're just quite disgusted sometimes with the behavior in the parliament from everybody. And I don't feel like I always get the best representation in the parliament. Even though I'm not a citizen, I mean, I'm somebody who is interested in what goes on in the parliament. And he spoke about a missed opportunity. Wasn't it also a missed opportunity that the opposition leader never even participated in the debate and only came in to stage a walkout?
No, but one never, remember, we are in a pandemic situation. So you only have a limited amount of people sitting in the, for instance, today we have the sitting of the Senate. There are only 6 of us. The agreement on all the benches that 3 opposition senators will sit at any time. If you look at the Senate today, you may not see me, but I'll be there. I attend all the sittings, but I'll be in the conference room because I'm adhering to the rules. I'll only get into the chamber if I'm about to make a contribution.
Come on, Miss John. While I understand that, and because of the pandemic, you don't think those 3 people should have included the opposition leader?
What do you mean? No, I'm talking about the Senate. I'm not talking about it. Nobody opposition leader was in the parliament. She was just in the office looking at it from the on the television screen.
Yeah, but how about participating in the debate? You don't think that was a missed opportunity? Since the government is saying, well, you don't love Tobago, you don't this, you don't that, show that you love Tobago, because now the bill is in limbo. The bills are in limbo. What's the next step?
But one didn't know whether she was going to participate. That was the other thing. Remember, they had an agreement prior to expand the speaking time. So the first speaker was 2 hours, responded 2 hours, the second one 90 minutes, and so on and so on. So the government side had a final, I think, 1 hour. The mover of the motion was the leader of government business. So the practice, precedent, and I think standing order is that the leader of government business would also do the winding up. It was not expected that the Prime Minister was going to be winding up. That's the point.
Right. But you're saying that she would have spoken. The thing is, according to Camille Robinson Regis, there came a time when the opposition was to speak and nobody was there to speak. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know what happened. No, well, I wasn't there. But what I'm saying is, but that's not a cop-out. I'm just saying I wasn't there. The point is I did hear the leader of government business. But I don't know what that meant, because I knew that the leader of the opposition was prepared to speak, was well prepared to speak because, substantial.
So at what point was she going to come into the parliament, come into the chamber, if they got to the point where Camille Robinson Regis is supposed to wind up and give way to the prime minister?
No, well, one did not, I believe they did not know. The opposition this was not discussed with the opposition. Listen, there is a...
No, but what I'm saying is, let's say Camille Robinson Regis was winding up and not the prime minister. The fact is, she still got to the point of winding up.
But I really don't know what happened there, and I'm sure.
Well, obviously, if the opposition leader had intended to speak, she would have been in the. She knows the rules. She knows how many people are going to be speaking, what speaking time, how many times they get. So if it got to the point of winding up, then it means that you had no intention, as far as I can see, to participate in the debate. And I think that is the missed opportunity. Because if she had done so, and Camille Robinson Regis decided to give way to the prime minister to wind up, then we could have at least given the opposition kudos for saying, listen, the opposition leader was integral to, making sure that she did her presentation, and show that she is interested in Tobago. But I felt as if we just waited until the winding up and it's like, okay, yes, here is the point where we can say, okay, we're not participating because you gave us a reason. And the reason was the Camille Robinson Regis gave way to the prime minister to speak.
No, well, I was saying there were 6 additional speakers on the opposition side to still to speak. Prior, the practice in the parliament is that if you are doing something like that, there is an agreement. You discuss it. You can't be such protagonists. Democracy is a fragile thing, and everybody have to hold their own. Is a practice, and everybody have to do their thing and try to just keep it going. So if the practice is that we will discuss, so then nobody told the opposition that the prime minister was going to be the person winding up this whole motion. But that being said, there were 6 other speakers on the opposition bench ready to speak.
That's not what Camille Robinson Regis has said. She did acknowledge that there were 6 speakers, but said nobody got up to speak. So that's how they got to the winding up.
Well, I really don't know because I was looking at it. I was outside. I was looking at it, just looking at it on my computer. And I heard this, I think, between the leader of government business and the speaker, they're saying the prime minister. So think about it. You are in the opposition side. You are in the prime minister. He's not the mover of the motion. So it's not your thinking that he is going to wind up. And I think it was not only until he was on the lecture.
But is it unconstitutional? Is there any standing order that allows for this to happen?
Well, what they quoted was Standing Order 46-2. I was trying to see it this morning, but I have the Senate Standing Order. The debate, the motion was not, that if a motion is critical of the government, you can cite 46-2, and any minister can do that, or member of parliament, any minister, I think it is, and they can wind up. But the motion was not critical of the government. This was the government coming to the parliament with the Joint Select Committee report. This was their policy. They are now fleshing out into law, on its way to becoming law. So that was...
But I don't know that you can't say it's not critical of the government, because the government have gotten so much licks over this thing, and Tobagonians on a whole. You hear that they're bringing a PNM bill. You hear that, all these years PNM in power and they haven't gotten autonomy for Tobago, all kinds of things. So from that perspective, maybe they can say, yes, it's critical of the government.
But notwithstanding that, the opposition was unaware that the prime minister was going to the lectern, not to spend an hour, as had been agreed before, but to actually wind up the debate. And maybe in that regard, they were, blindsided, because they probably felt after the prime minister spoke, the debate will continue as usual. Someone from the opposition side will go and respond to the prime minister, etc. So maybe that is it. I have not spoken to the
Why didn't the opposition leader speak? Why didn't she take part in the debate?
Well, because I said that the debate ended prematurely. You understand, to all intents and purposes. I think that is what she said on the outside of the parliament yesterday, that it ended prematurely. And it was...
Why didn't those 6 people get up to... It seemed as if it was almost a setup. Why didn't they get up to speak? Because at no point did the opposition leader say, Camille Robinson Regis is lying, you know, that they were already speaking and they weren't given the opportunity because there's no such story anywhere. Why didn't they get up to speak? And then we wouldn't have a winding up and Camille Robinson Regis handing over to the Prime Minister to wind up the debate.
Well, today the leader of the opposition, in fact, has a press conference. So I'm sure she will bring the full explanation or perspective from the opposition side. But as I've said, I was
look forward to that.
And when I heard, I mean, remember too, in the House, you don't really interrupt the speaker. There was a discussion, that is my recollection, I could be wrong, between the speaker and the leader of government business, the Prime Minister, So once I heard the Prime Minister, I said, I dropped everything and I went to sit down to listen. So, okay, so me too, not knowing, I said, okay, I have 1 hour with the Prime Minister. You know, right. And then it happened that the leader of government business again came and moved a motion that he's winding up, so he should get the additional time and so on and so on. So to me, that, for me, I was outside the parliament, but to me, that was a surprise.
Right. So you didn't expect that to happen. But the question is now, what happens next?
Well, what happens next, I think there's a sitting of the House. Well, the report has been committed to the Committee of the Whole, and the government, they are there to present their amendments. And I think they are talking about some amendments which had been put forward by Mr. Ho-Choi Charles and Mr. Farley Augustine. So I suppose that is the process this morning. I can't speak on anything else. I'm not in the lower house, so I really don't know what is the arrangement.
Right. So it's going to be debated today again?
No, it's going to the committee. When it is in the committee stage now, they are going to go through this report, I suppose, clause by clause, and any amendments will be put forward and voted upon and decided.
But I saw how many times they asked for that in the Joint Select Committee. You know it, I know it. So many times, okay, you have 11 issues, point them out. And his position, Ho-Choi Charles, was that this whole thing just wrong. This whole thing just wrong that you brought, because that's not what we asked for. But I think the sticking point is that administrative nautical miles. I don't think it should be the legislation, because, as I said, if you do that, and one of the things they thought they spoke about was oversight, that at any point, regardless of whether or not, you know, you're Trinidad and Tobago or you're Trinidad and Tobago, that you need oversight, you know? You really do need oversight. I think that those laws that they were talking about, that I think Ho-Choi Charles said they can only do 4 or 5 laws, you know, without consulting with Trinidad. But you're in a unitary state of Trinidad and Tobago, because the minute if you don't have that oversight, it means that it's secession.
Well, then, you see, that is where the discussion comes in. And it all ended prematurely, because it is subject to me, the consultation. And if we have spent 44 years, Mr. Charles had asked for 2 more weeks, and there was nothing to say he would not have complied with what he had requested. You know, it's just a negotiated, position. I just want to flag briefly, because yesterday the Prime Minister referenced the Parliament of the UK and the Congress of the US. And if you look at what is happening, and you're a keen follower of politics also, President Biden has his agenda. And what is he doing now to try to get his infrastructure bill passed? He's meeting in the White House with members of the Republican Party over and over and over. And that's what I'm saying. Yesterday, when the Prime Minister stood up, I was looking to see, because he referenced the A&R Robinson, whose shoulders he stood on. You know, so he went there not only as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, but as a Tobagonian. I stand on these shoulders and that and that and that. And I think, you know, where you see President Biden, he's trying to get his agenda passed. What does he do? He just go.
Well, you know what? I agree with you. I agree with you. And I wish that the opposition would take that kind of opportunity as well, because we can only criticize what the Prime Minister said and did because he stood up. Where's the opposition leader to stand up so that we can say to, well, here she is, doing this, doing that, so that the people can get what they want of Tobago.
But she's been standing up. She said, we are listening. You know, if you notice in the debate, the committee was brought into the debate, and the opposition members on the committee, and they said the opposition members were rather quiet. Why? Because we listened. We did, when we had to interject, we did that. You understand? There's not a place so much time you put up your hand is not school. But, you know, basically you are doing that. You are listening. We were there. as independent minds, yes, we are members of the UNC and we represent the party, but I can assure you, the three members never had a discussion or a predisposition to one way or the other, right? And in the same way, the leader of the opposition is saying Tobago is asking for autonomy. What does that mean? And after the committee would have met and there's a report that is in Parliament, what would it have taken the Prime Minister as a leader of the opposition? Let us sit and talk about this. That is not weakness, you know.
What would it have taken the opposition when they're in the Joint Select Committee to say all these points that are raised, we don't agree with it, to sit and say we're just listening. Don't add to the thing. Come to the Parliament and they would say, okay, we're not supporting it. Well, they didn't even get to that point. Just kind of sit and let it play out and just look for an opportunity to walk out. That's not helping the people of Tobago.
She was not in the Joint Select Committee. She's not a member
of
the
Joint Select Committee. No, what I'm saying, but there are representatives in there. And
but we never discussed it. We couldn't. No. We couldn't go back to the leader of the opposition at any point in time during that whole sitting, during that process, right? That is against the law, the rules, sorry, of the committee. Right? You really kind of have attract some punitive things to you. But so we could not have told her, we are here, this is what we're discussing. That did not happen. She would have had sight of that report when it was laid in Parliament. But what I'm saying is, you know.
But when it was laid in the Parliament, did the opposition say, okay, yay or nay to these clauses at any point?
No, she didn't have, there wasn't the time to do that. It was just laid. The opportunity was over the 2 days of the debate. But I'm saying, prior to that, again, the Prime Minister, a good Tobagonian, we have a lot of chats. He said, you know, what you see in the day, don't take bully fair and go in the night to look for it. So he should have been, he's sensing something because he was in Tobago last week or before telling them, if we don't get through, it's because I didn't get it. I have my 22 votes, members in the Parliament, but I need 9 from the opposition. And if we don't get it, it's because I don't get that 9. Okay, you're sensing something. So why you want to take bully fair and go in the night and look for it? Then you call up the leader of the opposition and say, listen, this thing is important to me, you know. Come and sit with me. You understand? Let us discuss this. You understand? Yeah. Prior to going into the Parliament. So it goes both ways. You understand? Because, you know, sometimes they say, who have more skin in the game, right? This is important to all of us. And I said, I'm trying Tobago, even you are not a citizen. You understand? You come from Tobago.
Listen,
this island, man, you will want the best of Tobago.
I have been here 11 years and frankly, I'm just fed up of this. I think they should just get to the point where we get to that debate, we get to an agreement, get to the debate, pass the motion and keep it moving. Right, and let Tobago sit and figure out how it's going to organize itself. This is ongoing for too long, but this conversation is not going on for too long. But we have to end it. We are way out of time. Yes. Thank you to Jearlean John, much appreciated.
Thanks a lot, and thank you to your beautiful team. Thank you. Okay, all the best.
Most welcome, Jearlean John. They're speaking to us. Of course, we went over time, so I don't know how Ruckus and Carrie are going to work this out, but it's 6:49 a.m. We take a break and we'll be back with you.